So welcome to this open kitchen session on new concert formats. My name is Hanni Liang and I'm a pianist and working in the field of concert creation. And I'm very happy to have Sergio Roberto Gratteri here with me, who is a fantastic person and a music programmer with his own space, his own festival, das HAUS in Brussels. And as I said, we're here in an open kitchen format. Today we have a 3-course menu prepared for you guys. We will start with some insights given by the two of us. We will then have the main course, Cook a Crazy 6, and I will come back to that later. And we will end with a plate of ideas in this afternoon. So let's start. Well, this is me. 20 years ago, a very classical trained pianist playing concerts, playing competitions. And when there was, the Elbphilharmonie, kind of like the idea in the room, of course, like every musician may have the dream of once in a lifetime play there in this thing which everyone is talking about. So the day came, the dream came true, and I happened to play there with the Deutsche Kammerphilharmonie Bremen. And if it's, thank you. And if it's, sometimes it's like that, if you reach the peak of a mountain, what comes next? The drive down. The same with me. After this concert, this question was there. Why? Why this concert? Why am I making music? Why am I a musician? And what do I want to say with the concerts, with the music I'm playing, with going on stage? And by the way, what is the concert? And what can the concert all be? Except of like performing or a musician coming on stage, playing and going back home. And also, what does working in the arts field, being an artist, mean when facing today's challenges? Can we, should we contribute to society? And if yes, I believe yes, but if yes, how can we do that? And of course, many, many more questions after this concert. Which brings me, of course, to I believe, a lifelong search and seeking for answers, which will change and develop, I'm sure, in each part of the life we are in. And I think it's something we are all searching and seeking for. But yet, in this moment, I believe that art poses questions, that it can challenge us to confront different perspectives which are not part of our daily lives, and not only us here sitting in the room, but also our audience and our listeners. And that art can reveal what unites us in diversity, what holds us together. And indeed, it can be a gallery of the now, which I strongly believe, and which is why I am making music and why I am a musician, and what I want to contribute to as an artist and also as a human being. And that brings me to, a new field, I would say, concert creation, or maybe some of you also know it as concert design, which is created by a fantastic man called Volkert Ude. I personally, greetings to Volkert here, prefer the wording of concert creation, and I will also tell you why. So when I'm thinking of creating a concert, and in this case, it's really my personal way, and I'm sure each person needs to find his or her own way in this new field. But my way, when I'm starting to think of concerts, I'm always thinking of this triangle of the musician, of the audience, and of the concert itself. And not only the three parts in separate ways, but in the interaction, in the ways of coming into encounter. And what happens for me is that the musician will more have a role of a creator, of somebody who is really opening the room of the concert, who is building the dramaturgy of the program, who is thinking of this room where we are right now. What is the story behind it? What is now our role in me standing here and you are there? And if I'm thinking of that in encountering, then also the part of the audience, of the listeners, would change into a co-creating part. And co-creating for me has, well, really a lot of types of co-creating. And I will come to that in a moment. So where can we build bridges and where can we have encounters where I can, trigger your creative potential and yours. And really, I believe in that each of us have this potential in it, and that I feel it's also my kind of responsibility to trigger it out. And this potential can shape a world, can shape a society in the end. And together, the creator and the co-creator, they are creating an artwork, which is the concert. So the concert itself as an own artwork for this space, for the people, for the city, for everyone who's there in this moment. So I've brought some examples, and I will also tell both sides of it, because of course, if you're starting to go over the only playing music repertoire, there are a lot of challenges as well. And also, if you're in the context of, let's say, a traditional concert context, there are also a lot of challenges. Like we already heard in the beginning speech, that there are, of course, concert halls and maybe a lack of technique and all the other stuffs. So this was a concert in the Apfelharmonie. I've promised after 2018 that when I come back to this concert hall again, I will come back, but completely differently. So I was asked again to perform, and I was asked again to perform in a traditional way, a piano concerto. At least it was Caroline Shaw's Piano Concerto Watermark. And I told them, yes, I would love to come, but I want to really find my why behind it. So I've worked from the scores. And the fantastic, lovely thing, it's a fantastic piano concerto, I can recommend it here, is that it starts from a humming C from the orchestra. And I widened it to the whole audience. Okay, so that will be the scene here to see it. And the funny thing is, it's going to be recorded, but still I'm going to say it. The funny thing is that you see I'm walking here. The question was, who owns the water? Because Watermark, it was for me about ownership, and I've played with the name, so water, who owns the water? And I've been walking with this light bowl filled with water through the whole audience hall, humming the sea and waiting for the listeners to hum together with me. And of course, for this light bowl, I would love to have a dark concert hall. So I went to the technician and was like, I have this idea, and can you please dim the light? The answer was yes, but the concert promoter just booked the basic package, which does not include dimming the light. I'm sorry to say that. That's the case, and after a lot of discussing, I was asking, can you then please just shut off the light and then, turn it on again? And he was like, yeah, maybe that I can do. And here we go. When I was walking through the audience, and when I was hearing people starting to hum together with me, it was such a beautiful moment and a very mindful moment, filled with consciousness about water, about this tiny little thing in that bowl, which is so important for our lives and which is not reachable for all of us, still not reachable for all of us. So I was walking down with it, and I was putting down this light bowl on the stage in front of the piano. The whole audience, they were all humming, and I started to play the first chord of the piano in this humming. So this moment was just, magical. Yeah, so that was a small snippet out of this program. And of course, I was very happy that it worked in the end with turning lights off and on. So thank you very much, Elbphilharmonie, for being so cooperative. The next one is an example from the Sendesaal Bremen. I don't know if I think some of you may know the really beautiful and atmospheric concert hall, but it has a very high stage. And the one thing I personally very love to do is breaking the hierarchy between the stage and the hall. So the gap between there's the artist and there are the listeners. I love to break it. And in this case, because the stage was very, very high and the audience was sitting really, really far away from me, I was in the middle of the concert. I've invited them to come onto the stage to me. And I've invited them to, write down their thoughts, their questions, whatever, a word, and just put it down on the piano. And I will go, and I'm going to improvise on that. So that's the last musical moment we're creating together. And feel free to be part of that. This one is like, for me, the co-creative way in its, let's say, opening it 100%. This was a project at Heidelberger Frühling. I've worked together over 3 months with, in this case, youngsters with different backgrounds. They're not musically trained. They didn't have any contact to classical music. And I've worked with them on the question of where can we find collectivity in a world which is becoming more and more singular. And, the things in co-creative, and this is another challenge, is that you're giving a lot of power away, a lot of control away to people who are not used to be or never have been ever on stage or have never ever the experience on coming in contact also with it. So you're really also building a lot of, it's a personal relationship. You're on trust in the end you're going to build. And also for me to trust them that it's going to work and that they are, and to build the space in the context of a classical concert where, of course, we, in the end, need to create art together, to create, let's say, spaces where there can be experts of their own. And that was the difficult in this case as well. And also because there were youngsters with really stories where I can tell or have myself lucky that I didn't experience that. So we've created the, let's say, me boxes on the floor you see here, where people were also invited to go in and to speak out loud. This one is also something which was really out of my comfort zone. I was asked by Pinakothek der Moderne to create a performance on their exhibition Glitch. So the art of disturbing. The idea came to create a performance on broken instruments. And you see me there in the orange thing with a toy piano, which was like completely destroyed, which I like really broke during the performance even more. And well, I broke a broken instrument. That was quite funny. But like if you have an instrument or as a violinist, a violin without strings, what are you going to do? But that's exactly the question, the questioning of what is perfectionism, what is beauty, and what in the end is music, is art? Is it really always like the perfect pitch sound, or is it like this here? Like it's really a kind of like installation, improvisation, composition of different sounds coming from everywhere. And that's what I did with my students. I'm teaching at Music Conservatory in Munich as well, concert creation. So that was also for me really like going beyond my limits as a classical trained pianist. So this brings me now, this picture, to this wonderful man here, because he once asked me, Hanni, do you want to come to a festival, a piano festival? And I was like, yes. And he was like, wait a second, I want to tell you where. It's in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's in Kinshasa. And we will spend there 2 weeks together, or 3 weeks, and work with local people and create something which we are going to bring on the stage. And this was, in many ways, really bringing me out of my comfort zone and really also reflecting from where I come and really to also learn and facing many, many difficulties people have while we are sitting and standing here. So Sergio, thank you so much for this. And I will now give you the word because you have a lot of things to say.
Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. First of all, she did a great job, I can tell you. Now and there, it was a very challenging festival, but she rocked it in many ways. So hello, thank you. My name is Sergio Roberto Gratteri. What am I? I'm a musicologist, I'm a cultural entrepreneur, and I'm also the founder and artistic director of a place called Das HAUS. Now, Hanni asked me to share a bit my thoughts with you on the importance of new concert formats from the perspective of a programmer. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm gonna focus on as a programmer and also my perspective. There's no written law that what I say is true, but this is what I use as a guideline for myself. So first of all, to be able to do that, I have to take you back to many years ago when I was working for, not the Elbphilharmonie because I'm from Brussels, but maybe, the biggest cultural temple in the country, which is Beaux-Arts, if anyone has been there, Center for Fine Arts. But it's not so much about that specific place, it's about the institution. And I had the chance, I was responsible for new concert formats, but also audience engagement. So how to build a new relationship with existing and new audiences, and how to bring, as we all have this mission, bring people closer to classical music. I had a lot of freedom to think about this relationship with the audience and how to make it tighter. But at the same time, even though we had interactive concepts, immersive experiences, I mean, we had enough money to do that, so that was a good thing. But nevertheless, the closer we wanted to bring those audiences, very often I felt very distant from the audiences. And I couldn't understand why that was. And I also felt that there was still a big chunk of audience that would not come. And I would always come. I mean, it's a general, it's a big group, but let's just focus on the people, it's what we call the gray zone, 20 to 45 years old. Or they don't come, or they don't come back, because we did amazing things, and then they come, and then they go, oh, great, and not anymore. Voilà, and they go. And that's all fine. And so when I did a lot of field work, and especially, and this is going to sound logical, but actually in big institutions, it is still not everywhere logical. I really got to know my audience, or I talked to my audience. And what I do today is even worse. I mean, I talk to, sometimes in the concert, to every single one of the audience members, just to understand what it was. And then I understood one important thing, and that is that having a beautiful concert format, it can be beautiful on paper, but it's just not good enough. I mean, having something cool to present is not good enough. You really need, at least from my experience, you need a holistic approach to it. And this is something that is still missing in a lot of organizations. And what do I mean with that? For me, point of departure is a word that let's say the thing that I use as a guideline in my life and in my programming is care. The word care. Care for the musicians I work with, care for the audience that I work with, and it goes quite far. So I decided to leave the institution and I never say never, but I don't have any plans of going back, even though it's wonderful and it's a big, I mean, it has a lot of impact in a different way than what I'm going to explain now. And so I decided to found my own space, which is called Das HAUS. And it has a few elements that I find important. First of all, Das HAUS is what I call a safe space, and we say it often as safe space, but it's a safe space for both musicians and for audiences. But it's a space. And to my opinion, talking about concert formats, having the right setting, having the right space in which you put your audience is already a concert format in itself. Yeah. So there is no compromise in Das HAUS, and some of the people here have been here, that are here have been here. It is Das HAUS, it's a radically cozy space. You come in, you can take off your shoes, you can even fall asleep if you want. You are welcomed by me, by many people. It's all full of fauteuils. It's the opposite, actually, of where we're sitting now. Which is no criticism, but it's just like, it's a choice that I go for. It's the opposite. My partner cooks, so it's with food, it's with drinks. There is, as Hanni said it wonderfully, very important, a very, very small distance between the audience and the musicians. We play a bit with those settings. There was also no formality, because while talking with so many audiences, and me included actually, because I was going for the 20 to 45 cool, maybe culturally interested people, but classical music is that one step too far. I'm like, unless my friend brings me, then I will not go. But they're curious. But why didn't they come? Because of the formal setting, because of the perception that they have of a space in which classical music is performed. And so how can I break all those parameters and make them feel really welcome? So it has to be a place. If you want to go to a concert, I want it not only to be a nice place where I can listen to music, but also and discover new things. But I also want to be talked to in a way that I will not be judged. And I think in our sector, there was still a lot. I mean, I remember when I was studying, and I once forgot the birthday of Mozart. I mean, for a year, my professor was saying it. And I find it horrible. My audience, I will never take for granted that they even know who Mozart is. And this is the way that I think that they will enjoy the music of Mozart, even if they don't know it is the one who composed the music. So a place where you can just feel relaxed, feel yourself, not judged, but also where you can meet peers. There was a lot of matchmaking in Das HAUS. It happens automatically, or sometimes even pushed by me. But yeah, it's what drives people to places where there is music or art. So maybe that's the first important thing. The second important thing that I want to add is, once you have the space and the setting, and maybe I should show you what I mean with that. This is me. So this, by the way, Ictus, if you know them, they did a program on depression. So this is a bit the setting, you know. It's the opposite of a big hall. It's very small, very small, but still it's very intimate. People normally don't stand. It's just that we ask them to turn around for the last piece. This is maybe a person that you know, but then you have an idea actually of what the setting is. I just have to see what the next one is, if I can still show. Yeah, because we have food, as I said. Wonderful, isn't it? Yeah, I know, and I don't eat like this every day, even though it's my partner. That makes it okay. But then once you have the setting, you have the concert format, so the concert itself. And then we tend to go for musicians that really want to reflect not on what is cool, but how can I involve my audience in an authentic way? How can I do it in an interactive way, but not necessarily, but just in a way that is relevant, so that people feel, okay, this is for me. And I think we have different kind of ways of doing it. I'm not going to explain everything. This is one of the approaches is when we combine different domains in society. So this is classical music. You cannot see it yet, but this is science and classical music. So what you see is a massive projection under the microscope of a compound that is heated up. I mean, you can ask me later if you want to know how it really works. And it creates beautiful landscapes, so it's an immersive thing. And behind that, you have musicians, because this is a live thing, so you never know when these crystals, let's say, they start to develop and get colors, like this, for instance. Voilà, and you see the musicians behind it. And they are actually making a dramaturgy live, like following with their program the chemical processes. So this is one thing of doing it. These are the scientists behind it. Then you have also playing a bit with, but because this is a concept for many musicians, but we only had two. So they doubled themselves. I will tell you more about it later, but not here. We also have people that just go for combining different techniques, musical techniques. This is, if some of you know her, Anna-Maria Hefele. She is Austrian. She is known for, she comes from the Hildegard von Bingen world, early music, but also she's famous for overtone singing. So we combined overtone singing. It's all a question of we talk first and then we build something new. Overtone singing combined with Brian Eno, combined with Hildegard von Bingen, and even Mozart was in there. But then also she improvises because she knows how to improvise on herself. So she splits her voice and then she improvises on herself, and she improvises also on the audience. So it was very similar, but then here live. This man was here 2 years ago, said Parker Woods. My big dada is attracting musicians that have a story to tell. So that want to work on a format which incorporates narratives that you and I as an audience, whoever you are, will connect with. Because you feel it's your life. Well, this is a whole, and this is a very personal thing. It's not just what is cool, what is a trend, let's make a concert format out of it. It's very dangerous to do that, I believe. But this man knows what he was talking about, so we built a program around racism. And a solo program, which was very strong. But why was it strong? Because it comes from the heart and from the hands of this man himself. This was Matthäus Halsmann, who made a program on HIV, AIDS, which was not only multidisciplinary, but also very personal. This was the first ever project of das HAUS, which was on burnout. This is a great, maybe one of the best, well, I hope there's no other lute players here, but one of the best of Belgium, who had a massive burnout and then actually decided to turn that into a performance, how she got out of it through music. It's coming out was very painful for this woman. So again, a personal story that I asked her to bring in front of the audience through music, of course, Jua Moavili. This is all about my favorite word, maybe even you wouldn't say, but it's about vulnerability. How difficult it is to be vulnerable, how perfect or perfectionism. So this performance was called Broken, and played by, well, you see her back, but I think you can recognize her, Hanni Liang. And this was a good exercise also for what it really means, because we talked a lot about the concept, not just, come and do your thing. No, we talked a lot in what it means for you to do that, what it means for my audience, at least in my head, to do that. And then ideally, you are very vulnerable. This is a moment I will just quickly, I know she doesn't like it, but I'll tell it anyway. If you say you're vulnerable, you want to do something around vulnerability, then do it. And she did it in the sense like she did something that made her die. She decided to leave the piano and sing, which she never does, only in the bathroom, right? This was, for many people in the audience, by the way, one of the most beautiful moments they had, because it was a broken Hanni that was courageous enough to show who she really is, apart from the beautiful music that she played. So that, see if there's something else. No. And that's the last thing, talking about concert formats. This is about mental well-being. We have a program also where everyone that goes through a difficult moment in life, let's say you have a depression, burnout, you feel sad or lonely, it doesn't matter what it is, sometimes you just feel bad. Then we send to your home one professional classical musician that will listen to your story and, inspired by your problem, will perform just for you. Yeah. So concert format vicinity is actually an important thing. Second for me, very personal, important thing when we talk about concert formats. So we have the setting, we have the concert, and then we have what's in the concert. What is the repertoire? And there I have big discussions and talks with many people on accessibility. So as I said, these kind of projects and this approach and this coziness of the setting attracts the audience that I wanted. So my audience is relatively young, socially diverse. They love the arts or not at all, but classical music is for half of the people. They don't go to it. The other half, they are more open to it. So I program with these people, which I ask questions every concert of how was it, what worked for you, what didn't work for you. I have them in my head. And when I program, I think of them and of this woman, my mom. This is important to me. Why? Not because it's my mom. She maybe came twice. She represents a lot of people in the audience. And I'm not talking about a 68-year-old beautiful woman. I'm talking about many young people that think like my mom. So when I program concert formats, for me it is important that at least in the whole concept, there is 2 or 3 moments that my mom or the profile of my mom, which can be perfectly a lot of 24 years old, say, yes, this I like, or this is something that I find interesting. And I find it a big challenge to not go into the coolness, to go in straight into the brainy things in the concert formats, because, as I say, because I like to program a lot of contemporary music, but my baseline is an oasis in which we drop the bombs. The bombs are necessary because you need to shake people, but the oasis is really necessary to see what bomb has been dropped. If you just drop the bombs the whole time, for some audience it works. For my audience, it's a battlefield. They will not come back. So that's a thing that I find very important. See, yeah. Oasis, that's what I just said. Yeah, maybe I didn't want to show it yet, but many of the artists that I work with and that I want to do a new concert format, they sometimes don't know how to do it. Many of the projects that we program are collaborations where we help each other. And this is more, I mean, I talked to you as musicians, but now and to you as organizers, but now I really talk to the institutions and to the organizers specifically. When I talk about the care is, and I hope I was right, I hope the artists really authentically feel that there was care. And I'm not talking about you have to hug everyone. I mean, I think it's a good thing, but it's in the process of creation. Sometimes they don't know what would be an interesting concept, or maybe they have wonderful ideas, but not the knowledge of the audience, or not the knowledge how to talk to the audience, and so on and so on. So following and accompanying those people in this whole process is crucial, because it will make them grow, it will make them understand, it will make them feel confident, and the best thing for you as organizers and who has to sell tickets, it will be an amazing concert, because they feel so relaxed and they don't have to prove anything, and they feel confident that it will be a success. And I think these elements, the setting, the accessibility of the musical language, the vicinity between the audience and the musician, the accompaniment of us being programmers and the musicians, and the accessibility in general, I think these elements are what I think makes not only a concert format successful, but also it justifies the reason why we have them. Voilà, that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sergio. And just a quick note to the singing thing. You know, I was there like, Sergio, I've never sang in front of people, you know. And he was like, okay, yeah, then take a microphone and sing. And I was like, no. And he was like, do you feel comfortable with that? I was, no, then do it. So I did it, and it was, thank you so much. He is actually one of the first concert promoter who was telling me to go further, to really push myself and challenge and find out really the things which I maybe don't know yet are lying in me. And that's something which I believe art can do, and people in cooperation, in working and encountering each other can do, and can, well, where we can flourish, let's say. And also what I love about art is that we can say something without saying it. Like, you know, singing a Uyghurian song is, I'm singing it, yes, why not? You know, and there's a big meaning behind it, of course. We had, like now, a lot of starters, I would say. We're coming to the next part, and just a quick, like, what if everything stays like the classical concert, which is, we all know from some 100 years ago? Well, we won't be happy with that, right? So we're coming to the main course, cooking at Crazy Six. And you know, we're here in an open kitchen. And as you already may guessed, I don't like to have this gap of you're listening and I'm talking. So we're cooking together. We're all cooking together. And for that, I think each of you, or most of you, have a piece of paper and a pen. And I will tell you how I, for example, start with creating ideas. And in this game, everything is possible right now. So you're going to draw, first of all, 6 boxes on your paper, your iPad. Everything is fine. They don't have to be really beautiful. It's just... And if you're done with that, we are all going to create 6 ideas in 6 minutes. And yes, you will feel stressed on the edge of your nerves because the time is like flying away. But it's part of the game, and you have 1 minute per box. And you're going to scribble it, okay, to draw it. It's not about like creating an artwork, but about like, you know, making a note that you can remember. And if you can, give each idea a name. Okay, everything is possible. I will do the timekeeper here. And if there is no question for that. About a concert idea, I'm sorry, of course. A concert idea. You're going to draw 6 different concert ideas. And it can also, of course, something you already have in your mind or you're working on, and you can just continue. So, but now everything is possible. So let your fantasy be free. Okay. So let's start now. First minute, first box, first idea. And second box, second idea. Third box already. Fourth box, fourth idea. And the 5th one. And the last. And time is running out. Thank you so much. Now you have 6 ideas each. Let's hear some. It's going to be our dessert. We had like a quick main course, let's say. So maybe we'll listen 3 ideas because time is running out also for our session here. So we will listen 3 ideas, whoever wants. There's already one.
I would think something like the concert consists entirely of cooking noises, and afterwards there's free dinner for everyone.
Amazing, love it.
Hi, it's contextualized, so it's actually the concert we're going to do tomorrow night at the Showcase on Wednesday at 9:00. So putting narratives between pieces, but letting the audience create pictures in their mind based on what they've just heard, and also just looking forward and back. And there's a unifying thing of how those narratives relate to the music, but not specifying what it could be. So just creating that context for contextualization.
Nice. I love the word contextualization. Who is next? And good luck for your showcase tomorrow.
Hi, everyone. Vera Plosila from Ensemble Nylandia Baroque Orchestra. We're doing a queer opera, early Baroque queer opera next fall, and it occurred to me immediately that we have to do some pop-up concerts about that, because the libretto and the story are really design for that, taking some non-invasive, not maybe that dramatic, but intriguing scenes that could be put into different contexts and made accessible but not intrusive for our potential audiences.
Cool, thank you so much. I love it because for me, concert formats it's not about, like leaving the traditional concert behind. It's not about that, but it's about questioning all the things we're doing. Because for me personally, it's the worst case that I'm just doing things because I'm doing them without knowing why in the end. And so it's just about, those tiny little things which maybe really create a contextualization in today's world. And in this case, I'm very happy that you are here and that we had this encounter, and hopefully also with a lot of dialogue now in the end for the last few minutes. Because okay, Sergio says one more idea. So one more idea. Here we go. He's curious. Here and okay, 2.
Hello, I'm Ruth. I'm not a programmer and I usually don't do this kind of thing. But I thought of the word matte, M-A-T-T-E, to mean feeling dull, uninspired, fuzzy. So pieces that have come after a creative block.
Oh, nice. Matte. Yeah, this one is not open. What do you want to say?
It works now. Wonderful, I just said. Wonderful. Yeah.
Here in the front, but I will just give my mic.
Hi, my name is Monica. I'm a pianist as well. And I'm also looking for different ways to perform, to bring the classical music to the normal audience. And I have my own project with Fanny Mendelssohn, Das Jahr, where I put together both the lights and multimedia. It's a multimedia concert together with the music. So it's both the voiceover and lights and projection and music.
Nice. Thank you so much. Yes, because I believe, in music, there's so much power already in it. It's not that music needs something more or, we need to turn the light red so that Bach is like more Bach. No, it's not. Bach is really like he is perfect and beautiful, and it is. But what has this Bach has to do with all of us in today's world? That's the thing I believe we can stronger, like make it even more stronger as it already is, and to really, transfer all the things we love to do, and also to come in connection to the audience and ask, what do they want? What are the interests of people who are coming?
Also, I do believe, as I said, it's a risk if you follow a trend that is now a narrative that is now pertinent. The audience is generous or not forgiving, depends. But as long as you as an artist feel the urge to tell that story, the audience will get it. If you just tell the story because it's cool, the audience will also get it and not find it so wow, because it will be less honest.
So in this case, Leonard Cohen once says in his song, there's a crack in everything and that's how the light gets in. And so with this in mind, let's each of us find our own ways to crack. Thank you. And by saying that, we have 8 minutes for questions and I was told to give this around. For each of you, I don't know, whoever wants to come in contact with one of us, you can just scan this QR code, I assume.
There is also one on the way out in case the little piece of paper doesn't reach you.
So we have 2 questions here already. 3.
Thank you. I have a question to you, Max Knoth, orchestrator and arranger. I love the way you get the audience involved in the whole process. My question would be, this is a kind of form and we have the content with music. So would you say when you plan something, music comes first and then the form follows, or the form comes first and then the music follows?
Good questions. Let's see what he answers.
I would say the musician comes first. I think, and I'm going to talk against my shop, as we say in Dutch. I think the moment that the musician has a very personal thing to say, the music has to be of high quality. It will be in the second plan. I think a good example is the Sounds for the Soul project that I was talking about, which is the one-on-one sometimes it's music. If I see what they play, I'm like, oh my God, I would never want that to be, I mean, I don't want to program that. But it's about the intention that I as a musician have towards you as an audience member. And then if I play this in a very honest way and in a very, it comes from me and it's just for you as an audience, not just you as a single person, but for the whole audience, it's not so important if it was Mozart or Stockhausen or whoever. My point though is, for me, the format, and then if that's that condition is done, then the format for me is important. Working, because it's a choice. It's I choose an audience that I want to have. I'm not saying that in a big institution you should always do it that way, and it will sometimes also not work, and because it's creating a very cozy, informal thing. It doesn't always work in some places. So it's a choice that you make. What is the kind of audience that I want? I decided I want that kind of audience, and for that I need to work on the format. And then the music is second plan, but let me be clear, it is top quality. Yeah? It's not, and it's also the accessibility thing. Is like it's always looking like what is accessible, because I want it to be innovative, because that's our duty. But I also don't want to fall into the la, because then I don't think. I mean, it's for everyone that does this here. Great job. Just keep on doing it. It's just a choice I made not to do. So in that sense, musician, and then format for me at least, and then. But it's a choice you should make yourself. Is that an answer to your question? Super, thank you.
And you have another one.
Yeah. It was that about how do you approach your audience? Where do you find them? So in order to come to your concerts, they have to know. So how do you publicize, or how to advertise it or something?
And that's good. Well, first of all, I have intimate concerts, which is part of the format, which I don't need to get 7,000 people every concert. I don't know many halls that have 7,000 people every concert. Classical halls, I mean. I think if you have the right format and narrative, I mean, for instance, when I talked about the last piece of kind of concert formats where we work on what is a message that they want to bring, the racism, the mental well-being, and then that's one thing that helps, it attracts. Second, I try to attract different kind of audiences. So the last concert we had was a recorded quartet coming from the early music scene, combining with a voice artist, combining with live electronics. These are, in some cases, 3 different audiences, and therefore it attracts that. If I attract cool artists that look cool, also image-wise, and by coincidence I have actually the person who's doing the communication here, it attracts. So we also try to have the images that go with the coolness of the concept, and we also try to communicate in a way that is not condescending, or that is not, I mean, often we read text of houses, but also of art exhibitions that you're like, what is that about? I'm not coming. Or like, or this is an amazing artist that they have played in many places, in venues, this venue and this venue, with this artist and this artist. My mother doesn't know who these people are. My 24 years old, they don't know which venues there are in Austin, or so that doesn't. So changing also the way of communicating is crucial. Also, when I'm there, because you build audience, this is kind of a living room. I really talk and I make you feel comfortable. And how are you doing today? And not it's a true thing. And this people will not forget, because you will come back to a place where you feel home. And maybe that's also the reason why it's called Das Haus.
That I can approve, for sure.
I was just wondering, like you say, the musician is first and then the music choice. But what if there is new music to be made involved? Because as a composer, I always really enjoy the concerts where it's really a collaboration the most.
I'm trying to understand if I understood the question, because I don't.
How would you approach it if new music is created for the event?
It's the same. I mean, that happens a lot in the Das Haus concerts, that new music is created. How to respond to that? But it's still, where does it come from? Why do we program this music? Because it's new music? Because it needs to be shown because someone wrote it? No. What is the role within the concert format of this piece of music? And then if it's an authentic reason why we play this, or why this is composed, I mean, very welcome. I mean, we do it all the time, but it has to be, I think we also do have a duty to show new music and to give possibilities to new composers, or at least composers that write new music. But this is not the main aim. It's like how, as she also said it, how can this music be part of a broader message? Yeah. Is that an answer to your question?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, a quick question is based on the sustainability and longevity, like, because the process that you've discussed is really labor intensive, and the audiences are small, and that's what makes it quality. So how do you ensure that in 20 years from now that, and also designing new concert formats is really tiring. How do you ensure that you're not going to burn out within 10 years because it's unable to build a larger admin team or something?
Yeah, it's a good point, because yes, it's one of the challenges also for me, because I need to practice every day a lot of hours of piano, and additionally to create new concert concepts, new ideas and communicating with all the fantastic festival or concert halls promoters in cooperation or developing a concert which fits into their specific place and their audience. So it's really hard to find the balance, and yet I'm also still finding a way to, in terms of sustainability, to transfer maybe one idea and I can do it somewhere else. I found out that it's not going to work, that it's not working, because every location, every concert space is just simply different. And so, yes, you can have maybe one idea, but it still is going to be a new one, because the space, the people, the location where I am is just like completely different. And so I'm still finding my way here. It's hard. And it's also a kind of like, let's say, new portfolio a musician maybe one day needs to have. I don't know yet. And so maybe there are like more ways on being going into different corporations.
And I just wanted to add to that, apart from the fact that we have projects to fix our burnouts.
I will come to you then when it's the day.
I also have no answer to that. I mean, I'm the only positive thing of the whole story is that smaller and bigger institutions are seeing the importance, and I believe in partnerships. At the beginning of the HAUS, we're still very young and still very fragile, but it is growing. But at the beginning, I was very reluctant to have any kind of partnerships with the big institutions. Why? Not because they're not nice. I mean, I worked in one. It's because one of the biggest problems is the perception that our society has about big institutions and classical music. And it's not the mistake of the institution, maybe. It's not too late. But this is something that I decided to radically change something, but here, not together with the big institutions, because you can create a wonderful, cozy thing in an institution and still people will not come. Because there was always a threshold. So we have to first think of that. How can we change that? But this is happening now. I just decided not to wait. Will I get a burnout in a few years? I don't know, but it's worth it.
That's a good say. Maybe the last question and then we'll end it because it's getting really hot in here.
My name is Preetha and I'm from London representing my string duo, Balladest. And thank you so much for such an inspiring and moving presentation, both of you. I guess piggybacking from that question very directly, I was curious because as a performer, composer, and curator in times, we're always wondering, we have all these ideas, but it can also rely on funding and supporting, performer and promoter, also having the sustainability through funding. And so I just wanted to ask specifically to Sergio, how do you do that especially when you're kickstarting and you have obviously put a lot of time into this vision and you have a big heart for collaboration, especially with the performers. So besides tickets and your smaller audience, how do you sustain it through, financial sustainability to see the ideas through?
I repeat, it is very precarious, but we're growing. How do I do it?
At least at this stage,
Yeah, of course. Well, I started in the middle of COVID with no money. And I thought I was going to be dead in 2 weeks. But I'm not. I mean, das HAUS is not. it's a mixed system of financing. But as I said, not only the artistic scene is changing, but also the political scene is, at least in my country, I don't know for Germany or the countries that you represent, it is also changing. And I think reputation helps in this, in attracting, but it is definitely, I mean, we work with a pay what you can system. It's not going to make us rich at all, but it's part of the concept. So it's still looking, it's still, until now, the money comes in because there was an authenticity. And if especially funders, and we have different kinds of funding, if they see that there is a truth in why you do it, and it's not just to make money and audiences. Why do I use that word? Is because still often in audience engagement, it's equal for some as marketing. Therefore, we want new people because they have money that they can pay a ticket, because we need tickets to make money, and so on, so on, so on. There was no authenticity in there. And I think the moment you can prove that you're authentic to that towards musicians, and you have a good communication, I strongly believe in that you evolve together with your audience on the level of communication, how you communicate to them. And you have this visibility that money will keep on flowing. Let's talk next year, but I'm very confident.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you.